the sensory world within which we live is more like a video game where
Yes.
every outcome is pre-programmed. There's not one way, right?
Right.
And so our decision makings are what create our experience. It's not, oh, I need to know what's going to happen so I can get there. It's who do I want to be? How do I want to live? Right. And
Right.
the truth is that when you work with someone and you help them understand that their decision making matters, then they feel powerful. They begin to recognize the sense of certainty is within them.
Right.
That is what minimizes suffering, because all suffering is a lack of control from one way or another. Right. And so
Mm-hmm.
what we do is that we begin to see that it's, whether we're conscious of it or not, is all of our decisions are stacking up, creating the outcomes that we experience. Now, sometimes, yes,
Yeah.
we get surprised by things. There are th- wonderful things that happen and things that we wish that hadn't happened. But
Mm.
that, even when we're surprised, we still have decisions to make. The decision is, how do I frame this situation? What point of view do I adopt? Do I see myself as a victim, or do I
Mm.
see, oh my God, what a wonderful opportunity. Now I can do this,
Right.
right? So our decision makings really matter.
That's so interesting. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, so I guess that's how you guide your clients to make their own decisions.
Well, it's the framework within which I work.
Yeah.
Um, Otherwise, folks, they will transfer their decision making onto me by reacting to what I say
Mm-hmm.
rather than making decisions about who they want to be, how they want to live, how they want to use the information I supply to them
Yeah.
in a way that they apply that works for them.
So then how does that work with relationships, for example? Because then you're dealing with two different people. Um, how do you help people make decisions with relationships?
Sort of,
Other
intimate
people.
relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I like to do is kind of break open that paradigm, right? So people commonly think about intimate relationships in terms of it's a process for getting our needs met. Would you
And a
agree with that?
process of compromise too. Like that's the big kind of thing that
Yeah.
it's talked about.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily buy into that.
Right.
Is when it comes to relationships, is we have to approach romantic relationships for what they actually are, which is relationships are about transformation.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Are you
I'm
passively agreeing with me,
listening.
or okay?
I'm trying
or,
to
or
process.
yeah. Mhm.
What do you mean by that?
Good. Okay, good. So
I
when
thought
you
you froze for a sec.
no, I was watching
Like,
your reaction because you were like, okay, and I wasn't sure if that was like, oh yeah, no, I agree with that, or I don't
what
know
do
if I
you
agree with
mean?
that.
It's more
Yeah,
what do you mean? Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so when we approach relationships as something that our partner. So for instance, okay, it's very common for people to go, man, I've been working my butt off and I just feel unfulfilled, and maybe I should take some time or whatever, or I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that. You know what I need? I need a boyfriend. Same thing with guys. I'm
Yeah.
not doing this, I've been working, or I got kids, or I don't have kids. You know what I need a girlfriend,
Mm.
right? It's always that go-to of I need a romantic partner, right? And the romantic partner becomes this potential source for our happiness, our well-being, and we don't
Mm.
realize, well, that romantic partner more often than not is doing the exact same thing, asking from us the very thing they're not giving to themselves and we're not giving to ourselves.
Mm.
So then you have two people that are coming to each other and they crash, and there's the euphoria of getting to
Yeah.
know each other, and we idealize each other, and you're aren't you amazing? No, you're amazing. No, you're amazing. No one understands how amazing we are, right? And that lasts for a little while. And the older we get, the quicker we get through that, right? When you're
Yeah.
16, it lasts for a year or more. When you're 46, you're like, all right, this is going to end soon. Like,
Yeah.
when's this going to
Yeah.
get real?
The
And then if we
connection's
get too
not real. Yeah.
right, and then if we
Yeah.
get too cynical, we never even allow ourselves to kind of idealize and feel those romantic feelings. We just want to know, what side of
Yeah.
bed do you sleep on? That kind of thing. But what I'm talking about is when we approach relationships as an opportunity to get our needs met, we're
Mm.
showing up only half full or less. And it's really how you love yourself, which is a roadmap for our intimate partners to love us,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Whether it's, oh, Rochelle, I notice you like your coffee like this,
Mm.
and I don't drink milk. I know you don't really either, but let's say you did magically. And this
Yeah.
guy now he keeps milk in his fridge because he knows when you have your coffee in the morning, that's what you love. Or maybe you don't even drink coffee and he's like, "Oh, I got you this tea," whatever, right? So now you're like, "Oh, this is
Yeah.
nice. When I sleep over,
Yeah.
I feel like connected." So there
Yeah.
is like this. So what it is like how we meet our needs becomes a way for our partners to observe how we care for ourselves, how we live, and
Uh-huh.
that becomes the way through which they support our ability to feel loved, right?
Yeah.
Ultimately, there is going to be conflict. Why? Because every relationship evolves into conflict, because
Mhm.
that's where the byproduct of conflict is actually intimacy.
Right.
It's
Right.
when we think of, I always like to think about it like this, is when you think of, say, two raw stones, two raw gemstones, they're cloudy and kind of jagged and stuff, and
Yeah.
you put them in a tumbler and they begin to roll around and scratch each other, but
Yeah.
eventually you take them out and you're like, oh my god, these are beautiful, right? It's
Right.
the conflict that ultimately makes the stones more transparent so you can see what's inside,
Right.
right? And then it's
Uh-huh.
that shared transparency is the foundation for vulnerability and intimacy. Many people think
Beautiful.
vulnerability is oversharing. Our first
Right.
date, over our first
Oh
date,
my
we
God.
talked about this, and oh my god, did you know that? And then what we're doing is front loading people with all our pain and unmet needs.
Yeah.
And then you're like, I don't know if I can do this, or now you're conforming to who he's his defense mechanisms. And you're like,
Right.
why isn't this relationship working? Why can't I feel like I can't be who I am?
Right.
I feel like I
Right.
don't have the freedom to be who we are. And then that becomes this other layer of sort of a toxic illusion where
Mm.
I feel coerced to change or they feel coerced to change rather than openly expressing who we really are. And when we openly express who we are and live out loud and love ourselves in terms of fulfilling our own needs systematically,
Yeah.
we show up full and we give permission for our partner to be how they want to be. And then the compromise that you mentioned is really a negotiation